No, I'm only joking. I'm not even driving. I'm actually sat outside waiting to pick the children to get them both from school. But I thought I'd just take this opportunity to just catch up with everybody and tell you about a patient I saw this week. Now, I saw this lady 2 weeks ago, and we were discussing about her lower back pain. It was all one-sided, right at the very bottom of the back. Quite an isolated pain. We went through the histories, we cleared a few big sick stuff and made sure that obviously everything's going to be okay long term. No serious pathologies, and we couldn't find an exact trigger, we couldn't find an exact reason. There was no what we call a mechanism, there was no injury as such. So that then made us look into her lifestyle, how she is at home, what she does, what she's been doing before this started, and obviously talk about the patterns. Now, one thing that stood out with this lady, and that was the way that she sits at home. Now, we're not here to analyse everything that you do, but it does help us quite a lot. And I just had lots of discussions about it, but one thing that we discussed was where a TV is in the house. That sounds a bit of a crazy thing, you know, and it's not so that we can scope it out to work out where we need to break in to steal a TV. But it's all about where we sit, where that TV is, and where we sit watching said TV. Now, just analyse your own life, and this isn't going to be for everybody, but this will be for a lot of people. We get up in the morning, we sit, we eat our breakfast. We then sit in a car, we drive to work. Or we sit on public transport and go to work. Or a lot of people sit with their home-based working. If you get to work a lot of time, you will then sit and you will do your work. And obviously a lot of places have complied and they've got their workplace assessments and everything's all set well. But you're still sitting. Then you sit in the car, sit on the tram, sit on the train, go home, sit at the tea table. You can see where this is going. There is a lot of sitting. I'm sitting waiting for my children. So we sit a lot. So how we sit will have a big influence on the pressure on the base of the back. Now, with this lady, it was a very, very simple thing. I said, let's try something. Her TV was off to the corner of her lounge and her sofa was set straight forward. So I said, instead of sitting and just turning that little bit off to the left to watch the TV, either move the settee out a little bit or just adjust how you're sitting so that you're square on, and said, and see how that feels. Now, I had this niggling thing in my back of my head that basically this lady is sat for a long period of time in the evening, maybe an hour or two, with what we call a left rotation, which is going to close the joint spaces down in the very, very bottom of the back where she was getting that pain. I said, let's go and do that. And let's see how you respond. So we did a bit of treatment, we did a bit of strength work. I said, change how you're sitting. She came back in this week, she sat down in our room in clinic, and the first thing out of her mouth was, oh my gosh, you were right. Hey, it's like we know what we're doing. We were right. She changed immediately that day how she's been sitting. And ever since, she said she noticed that was the cause of the pain. When we get patients to go away, we try and get them to understand the patterns, and she was able to correlate sitting down for a long period of time, then getting up and then going, oh, that's a bit sore. So have a think about it. When you're sat, have a think about how you're sat. Are you sat twisted ever so slightly? It doesn't have to be a big thing, but are we turned a little bit just watching the TV? Also, something to think about, and we'll do another video about it another day because, you know, we're over 4 minutes and no one wants to watch this. Your knees, when you're sat down, should be a little bit lower, tiny bit lower than your hips. If you do that, take the pressure out at the base of the back, alleviate some of that back pain. But I'll leave that one with you to have a bit of a play with. So, anyway, I better go get the children, otherwise they'll be ringing social services. I'll see you later.